All right, greetings from the wasteland. This is Freedom Phil outside the survival pod here. And I just want to point out something. I talked about commuting the other day, about the unpaid labor and how most people think they're saving money by living in a town. But really, you should really look at your job. For every minute you're there not doing what you'd actually like to be doing, that is effectively you giving away your life for free. Like when you drive, what else could you be doing with that time if you work from home? So I want to talk about why in the long run, once you got your shit together, if you still want to work, even if it's a lower paying job, but you don't really need the money, working from home is a godsend. Yeah, this is Freedom Phil. Like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Always turn up the video speed. Why do I say that? Because most people are life in the slow lane. When I upload this, watch it at 1.75. Let's get into it. Like and subscribe. And by the way, if you're not a subscriber, you don't need to be talking. Just say, no offense, but if you expect me to read your comments, I expect you to be a subscriber. That is not unreasonable. By the way, let's get into it. So, I see a lot of people that just passively accept the bad conditions they live in, and most of it has to do with the fact that they, they're horribly in debt, self-inflictedly in debt, whether it's, cranking out kids they can't afford to feed or just buying shit they don't need. One of the two. Kids can't feed or things you don't need. That's the reason most people are going to work. And, it's funny because, you got to plan like, say, 35 to 45 minutes. And so basically you allocate an hour each way. It's 2 hours that you're not getting paid for. Now, let's say you're making a paltry $25 an hour. $25 an hour. So that's 2 hours a day you're not getting paid for. Include that hour lunch. That hour lunch, like, when I drive truck, I can pull over for a few minutes, and I have to take a half an hour break at some point in the day anyways, and I can snarf down some food. I mean, let's be real, most people can snarf down a sandwich while they're driving down the road. It's not the most complicated thing, though you're not supposed to be doing that. But the point of it is that if you really think about the average working class person, when I work an 11-hour day as a trucker, I make 11 hours of pay. I'm making cents per mile. I'm making good money. I'm making anywhere from $45 to $50 an hour at a good company. That 3 hours a day that you didn't get paid for was you not able to actually do and enjoy your life as you should. I mean, maybe you enjoy the car ride to work. Maybe life at home kind of sucks. I don't know. But hell, sometimes, like the rare birds like myself, I actually happen to like driving truck. I like traveling. So, I mean, if you love your job, then it's not really work. I mean, it's still work, but not. But if you just go to your job because you got too many bills to pay because of self-inflicted situations, then you probably hate being there. So you giving away that extra 2-3 hours, I'd like to talk about that. Like, for instance, when you work an 8-hour day, let's say it starts at 8. Why aren't you at home at 4? Like, if you work at a hardware store, there's a little in between time. Eat the sandwich while there's nobody in the shop. And then if you live in a town where you can actually bike ride to work, that is it's old godsend in its own. Because effectively, you don't have to put up with this whole crap of, oh man, I gotta drive, or I gotta buy a car, I gotta pay for the car, I gotta pay for the gas. And it's just like I said the other day. If you really think about it from $25 an hour, if you're easy numbers, 2 hours a day given away, not including the lunch that you give away at your time as well. But 2 hours a day, that's $50 a day times, let's say 2 weeks off for vacation, so 50 weeks a year. So what is that, $12,000? And then what, $700 to $1,000 for your car? Whatever your overpriced insurance is. So you got another $12,000 there. Then you figure in what a few $1,000s for gas. I mean, you're losing anywhere from, like, say, $24,000 to $25,000, $26,000, $27,000, maybe even $30,000 if you got a luxury vehicle. Just for the pleasure of going to work. That's how much money you were giving away to go to work. And so people tell me, well, I live in the suburbs. I live in a little small town about 30, 40 miles from my work. And, so I got a rice burner. Yeah, but you are actually paying more for your house in the long run than you would have paid for in the city. Which sounds nutty on the surface, but then you just add up the numbers, and it's this casual acceptance of a bad situation. And I run into this all the time with people. They don't really view that time as, it's like you don't see that time as your time. But imagine you worked from home. Like the guy, the neighbor that works at the hardware store, neighbor to my house up there in the northern place. He literally just gets on his little electric bike, or he just walks a block and a half over. You know, if you need something in the small town, you just hop on your bike, buy it, throw it in the basket, go home. No car, no necessary. By the way, he has a nice pickup truck, but he uses that for fun. So while he is making less money, and he doesn't really need a lot of money because he's got his affordable living situation on the lockdown, while he's making less money, he is actually able to enjoy 2 to 3 more hours of his life. Now you add that up. How many days of your life do you give away between the lunch at work and the 2 hours of, one way each way? How much are you giving up? Just add up the numbers. Just take it simple math. You add up there's 52 weeks in the year. Now let's just go with 50 because you got 2 weeks off. Assuming you get weeks off. You take the 5 days times 50. And then you add up 3 hours of your life. You times that by 3, and then you divide it and think, that's how many days you just gave away to somebody. And then you add up if that was pay, if you were being paid for that time. Look at that number. Somebody who actually can work at home or commute locally in a small town or even a big city, has a good bus system, has a good, you can bike around. They could be having a workout at the gym. They could get off work and just go fishing. They could, go home, play some video games, spend some time with the family. It's amazing to me how we are socially, somewhat slowly psychologically convinced to screw ourselves every fucking day. And that's why when people say, well, how did you do so well in trucking? Because there is none of that waste time in trucking. There's none of that. My apartment on wheels is literally the semi with a sleeper berth. I wake up and I go 5 feet and there's the front office. I get up, maybe hit up the truck stop, get some coffee. I make my own coffee. I do not pay for coffee. I buy my own coffee and then I make it because hot water's free. Get my big giant Bubba mug full of ice water. It's funny, I get free soda in for. Actually, I started using their coffee once I get diamond status at Love's. But then throughout the day, I got to take that half an hour break anyways. So eventually I pull over at a truck stop, fuel up, then take a shower, get back on the road. I have my coffee. Bada bing, bada boom. I drive 11 hours a day. And I get paid for that 11 hours a day. And so if I'm really running hard, considering the freight's running right, I'm burning out that 70 in 6 days. So I'm basically earning a paycheck and a half plus. And I'm making way more money than the average person. I don't have all that wasted time. The reason this old 88 Econoline, the survival pod here, the reason it still exists is because of the choices I made. If I bought this van back in 09, 010, I think it was 09. I don't really remember. It's been a long time. I think the lady at the office said I had it since 09 when I re-registered back in Western Washington. And she said, oh yeah, I've had this since 09. And I've only put probably 34,000 miles on it. I bought it with 98,000 miles on it. So all those cars that the average person bought, and some of them stylish cars because you want to make sure the people you work with know that you're not a loser. Yeah, because those people are really going to come help you if you fail. How many of your coworkers, by the way, like I said in the previous recordings, how many times when someone dies at work, do you see the CEO, the boss, at the funeral? How many of your coworkers you see at the funeral? Go count them sometime. No, you are just a part in a fucking machine. And any way you can live cheaper, something I've seen some people doing, and I don't know, maybe the robots will replace this and that, but accountants. Once an accountant established themselves quite well, you could be working from anywhere in the goddamn world. You just got to thin the herd when it comes to people you do business with. And what do you mean thin the herd? Once you got enough good clients, you get the ones that know how to send the information to you through the email, and they're not bugging you all the time calling. You get the information, then you send them back what they need, tell them what you need to do, and if you have to have a consultation, of course you charge them for it. And then basically, you're working anywhere. I could be earning a living right here. In fact, in some cases, even as an online insurance person, I could be earning a living right here. Or on the beach. I got a relative who has a place down in Cabo. Fucking immaculate place. Beautiful view. And the fact that she could be living, I mean, she has her own real estate business. She's incredibly successful. I'm kind of the black sheep of the family. Somehow we get along, though. But she could be running a business anywhere in the fucking world. And that's what you're aiming for. That is the beauty, getting out of being a commuter. In fact, I was talking to her, and she said something that was interesting. She says, well, at first I didn't feel like it was worth the money to pay for like a Walmart delivery service. But then she did the numbers and thought, I got to go all the way to the store, spend how much of a day, like drive there. So 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, walk around the store, pick up all my stuff. So we're talking anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours to go deal with this crap versus I have that 2 hours freed up for me to do whatever I want. And so that's how you got to look at life. Sometimes it's worth paying a little bit of money so you have a lot more enjoyment. Frees up time. That's freed up time for you to enjoy your life. And you should look at commuting and your job this very same way. And not all jobs are going to be like that. But if you're a minimalist and you save your money, you save your money, invest when you're young. Instead of buying a McMansion, you just buy an affordable house in the Midwest, Texas, wherever. All you got to do to find cheap land is go online, go on Google Maps, look up a city name, go look up real estate there, and keep on looking, keep on looking. You find a bunch of potential candidates for a property you might want to do, go take a trip, go do a recon trip. And once you find a town, maybe it's got good fishing, it's got some good stores to shop at, and if you happen to be religious, do they happen to have some of your people there? You find the place that works for you, and you settle down when you get that when you're young. If you want to settle down, if you're a nomad, I'm nomadic by nature like me, then you just build the perfect rig. Whether it's a van or an RV or a school bus, you build it the way you want to do it. But this is a beautiful, wonderful country to live in. It's got its issues, but most of the problems people deal with, sadly to say, they're self-inflicted. It's learning the younger you are, or just figuring it out at whatever age, of how to stop being part of a system that doesn't work for you. The sooner you figure it out, the better off you'll be. Freedom Phil, like, subscribe. Y'all take it easy, and let's read through some of the comments. A bunch of messages redacted. All right. Well, I guess we don't have to read that because they're not there anymore. All right. Well, y'all have a great day.